Yes, folks, it's the big one. It's Grand National Week, the big race on Saturday. But before then, we've got all class on Thursday. We've got 4 Grade 1s back to back, bang, 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 bang. And of course, the big rematch. It's Constitution Hill versus Lossiemouth. And this is Good Morning Aintree. Yes, welcome along to Good Morning Aintree, and joining myself, David Jennings, to preview a crackerjack of a card. We've got Mr. Johnny Dineen, he's back. We've got Martin Dixon, Paul Kealy, and we have got Tom Nugent from Paddy Power, who once again is giving away €100,000, Tom.
Yeah, looking forward to it, DJ. €100,000 to give away courtesy of Paddy Power through finders keepers across the show. So we'll be getting the counter started shortly. Okay, we're going to start the countdown very soon. So if you have got a Paddy Power account, log in. There could be money waiting for you there. Mr. Johnny Dineen, good to see you. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, only 2 or 3, yeah.
Have you missed me as much as I've missed you?
No, I'm becoming accustomed to it. No, it's fine. I'm looking forward to Aintree. I love Aintree, actually, to be honest. It's something really cool.
So there was a bit of a debate on the panel this morning where some of our panellists were saying they prefer it more than Cheltenham even. Where do you like?
I'd prefer Cheltenham now, to be honest, but I'd have Aintree mile ahead of places like Punchestown now.
Would you?
I would, yeah, I would. I'd have Aintree clear second, maybe Ascot after that.
Okay. So it's Cheltenham, Aintree, Ascot.
Exactly, yeah.
So people watching now, they'll be mad to know, Johnny, since they saw you last in the middle of March, is Johnny Dineen in front?
I'm not sure exactly. I'd say there's not a lot in it anyway.
Has it been a good 3 weeks?
Not too bad. I'd say I haven't been making any real money or anything like that, but I'm doing the same thing nearly every day, you know. So
okay, not too bad.
Yeah.
Martin Dixon, thanks for joining us. You've had a couple of winners yourself as an owner since we saw you last.
Yeah, they've been going well. They've been going well, thankfully.
So are you an Aintree man or a Cheltenham?
Well, I'd be the other way, Ascot, Aintree, Cheltenham.
Oh, wow.
I love Aintree, but it is 40 minutes from my house, Dave, so that makes a bit of a difference.
Local boy, yeah. And how are you feeling ahead of the week?
Yeah, good. I mean, today's card's fantastic, isn't it?
It is.
Four Grade 1s. We've only got
fantastic.
1 odds on favourite, and he's barely odds on. Oh, he wasn't last time I checked anyway, Constitution Hill. He's only a shade of odds on, isn't he? I think the first race is a brilliant way to start the meeting. Obviously, the handicaps are just similarly competitive anyway to Cheltenham, and you know, I prefer this track personally for punting on than Cheltenham.
Okay, well you've set yourself up for a fall now because
I have, yeah.
you're our Aintree expert now. Paul Kealy, it is of course a high senior day. We will be previewing the bowl later on, but this is just his day, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, Aintree's great, isn't it? I love Aintree, and he loves it as well, doesn't he? That's the thing. We'll talk about him soon. As far as me, Ascot, Aintree, Cheltenham, I don't know about Aintree because the last time I visited Aintree, I stopped in a betting shop to see Red Rum open the shop. That's how long ago it was.
That's not today or yesterday. No.
1991 it was. I had a look. I was talking before. 1991 was the last time I went to Aintree Racecourse. So.
That is a while ago. So, Tom, we're going to start this countdown.
Yeah, going to get the timer rocking and rolling. So, Paddy Power are putting $5,000 into 10 different Paddy Power accounts. There's 15 minutes left to find the money. You have to log into your Paddy Power account, check if there's $5,000 there. If it is in your account, if there's an extra $5,000 in there, it's finders keepers. You have to have a small bet or withdraw some of it to keep it. But you have a time limit. You've only just got over 14 minutes to find it. So get logging into your Paddy Power accounts.
So not only are Paddy Power doing that, but Paddy Power are also playing their Eliminator game today at Aintree. So it's free to play and you can win $50,000. You pick 6 horses in the first race, 5 in the second, 4 in the third, 3 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, and 1 in the last. I think I got that right. So it's an eliminator game, so you got 1 in the 6th race. So it's free to play and you can win $50,000. So log on to Paddy Power and play the eliminator game. So here we go, folks. Let's start our preview of day 1 at Aintree. And the opening race of the day, it is, of course, the best novice chase of the season so far. It's the Manifesto Novices Chase, and with Paddy Power at the moment, we have a new favourite in Imperi Pass, who's now 2-1 Imperi Pass. Django Boy, your Arkle winner, is 5-2. Crow Park is 7-2. Gidley Park is 5-1. It's 14-1 Rubo. The Kaluki Kid is 25-1. Boom Bond 28-1. 50-1 Mark of Gold, and 100-1 Facile Mode. Johnny Dineen, I said yesterday that I think this is the best novice chase of the season so far. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's a decent race, but I wouldn't have said it's any much better than the Brown Advisory maybe or something like that. I don't know, I'm not so sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, these horses here are good horses, but Croke Park wasn't good enough to run in the Brown Advisory. He's third favourite here. You know, so Django Boy stepping up to probably what is going to be his trip, 2.5 miles. And I mean, Imperial Pass would have ran in the 2.5 mile race at Cheltenham, I assume. But you'd hardly say he's a super horse, is he, Imperial Pass?
All right, okay.
I just think it's a good race.
Trying to build up the day. It's the first race, okay? Trying to build it up, right?
Yeah.
People are watching.
Yeah, look, it's a good race and it's a competitive race too, and you wouldn't be sure what happened here. Look, I mean, Imperial Pass to me, he's got a change in jockey. That's probably going to help him. His jumping is a bit sticky. His jumping at Leopardstown the last day was poor, in my opinion. Anyway, he didn't jump. All bar, I looked at him there yesterday evening. Bar about 2 fences is about all to say he could jump properly. He rattled quite a few of them. He wasn't beaten that far, but he's never ever threatening at the same time. If you backed him, you know, we're gone early on, and look, okay, he's got good course form and he's got good hurdle form, and his chase form before that's quite smart. Look, he's a good chance, a very good chance, and then you're into the usual problem when you come to Aintree is what horses, what do they leave behind them in Cheltenham?
So where do you stand on that? Are you a believer in Cheltenham leaves its mark? It's 3.5 weeks.
It's all about the individual horses. You'll back one horse and he'll run terrible, and you'll back the next horse and he can actually do the opposite and improve or whatever. But I do think one thing about this meeting, and it's a tricky meeting for punting. I've always found it tricky anyway. If you're going for your guns at this meeting, it's got to be a horse that's coming here fresh. Got to be a horse that's coming here fresh. And I'm not talking about any horse. Any horse that ran in Cheltenham is no way a max play at this meeting, in my opinion. Anyway.
Okay.
So, like, it's got to be its target, more or less. Like, and that when you're looking at it like the Django Boy, it's coming here on the back of a slog in the Arkle. So it's hard to know what it's going to do. It can win, but Django Boy is almost as likely to pull up as win, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Now, I think this trip will suit it, and I think it does have a very good chance. I look, Croke Park's there, but he's a very good jumper. His jumping is magnificent, which is a vital component in this track. The mile-mate track here lends itself to proper jumping, I think. If you start hitting fences here, you'll put yourself out of races, and for that reason, he has to have a chance. I don't really fancy Gidley Park, and it's very
Why?
Look, I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. I don't think he'll be good enough in this race.
Well, I'll tell you what I think.
You'd fancy him.
I think Gidley Park, this is a big statement that's going to come back to haunt me. I think he could be, over this trip, the best novice chaser in Ireland or England.
Yeah, look, well, he's got to win today to prove that kind of stuff, I suppose, yeah. Look, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility, but he wasn't good enough to have a say in last year's Albert Bartlett.
But he's a chaser. He's a big strapping horse. He was never going to be a hurdler. You're just annoyed with him because you fancied him at Cheltenham last year.
I didn't really. I'd give him a chance, but he was unbeaten going to the Albert Bartlett over hurdles. It's very hard to say he was going to be a chaser. I mean, he's won one win over fences against Caldwell Potter, a 2 mile race in Windsor, which is probably not even a proper race course.
I'd say there's about half as much again on top of the fences around Aintree as there is Windsor, like.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Before we continue this debate, we've got some locations for finders keepers, Tom.
Interrupting that compelling conversation with locations. Yeah, if you're a Paddy Power account holder with an account registered, or you're living in Ballymun, Naas, Ballylanders, Limerick, Newmarket, Dublin, Swords, Belfast, Greystones, or Finglas, make sure you're logging into your Paddy Power account, because there could be $5,000 in there. It's finders keepers with Paddy Power. If you find $5,000 in your Paddy Power account, make sure to have a small bet or withdraw it, and therefore you get to keep it. If you do nothing, it is gone in the next 10 minutes.
I wonder, Tom, is that a sign of the week ahead? It's a very Irish-looking board. There's a lot of Irish locations there.
There's a significant slant. One of our producers here, Sam, was very surprised to learn that Swords is a place in Dublin.
Yeah, Swords.
He couldn't get over that.
Is a place not far from where I live, yeah. You were saying about Gidley Park and the fences.
I don't think I've ever listened to Johnny and agreed with so much of what he said as that little
That's
snippet there for the last 2 minutes. I think everything was absolutely bang on, what he was saying there, to be honest.
Which parts in general?
Well, about Aintree as a punting median. I mean, there's one or two. I think put your hands together will probably win today. But generally speaking, I think punting here, I would mainly focus on horses that have been targeted specifically at the meeting for the reasons Johnny mentioned. I think even in the heart of hearts of all the connections, they're coming here hoping and thinking that their horses are in their very best form. But there's always just that chance that they have left a mark. And year in, year out, you hear it excuse after excuse about numerous horses, don't you? And you can never beforehand identify exactly which one that will be. And ultimately, I think that's why focusing on horses for your main bets that are coming here fresh and have been had this as their Cheltenham.
So who do you fancy here?
I think Croke Park's got a massive chance. I mean, he's Imperial Pass I respect because he is a very good horse, but he's got pretty short, hasn't he? And I think you're kind of relying more on Townend and cheek pieces, bringing it all together. And at the price that he's got to, I could leave him alone. But Croke Park, just a very good jumper, stays well, which I think you're going to need in this race. Gidley Park and Rubo, I'd imagine, will go hammer and tongs and set a good strong gallop. You're going to need to stay well. You're going to need to jump well. And I think those over 2.5 miles are Croke Park's biggest assets. And he does have that profile of a horse that's been laid out for the meeting.
7-2 at Paddy Power, Croke Park. After all your ranting and raving, what was your selection?
Look,
Actually, I know you don't fancy Gidley Park, but what do you fancy?
look, maybe a tentative, but I won't be having any bets.
All right, spit it out.
I'll go with Django by in the hope that he can do what he did, that Cheltenham didn't leave a mark. Sometimes.
So after spending 5 minutes saying you're looking for horses who are fresh and not gone to Cheltenham, you're tipping a horse who's gone to Cheltenham.
I'm going to tip what I think is the best horse in the race, but that's not necessarily mean that he'd give his running.
Okay, we have some names to go with those locations.
We do indeed, DJ. Samantha in Ballymun, Bernadette in Naas, Neil in Ballylanders, John in Limerick, Keith in Newmarket, Mary in Dublin, Darren in Swords, Brona in Belfast, Liz in Greysons, or Edward in Finglas. If you are one of those people in any of those locations, or if you know of someone with that name in those locations, please let them know that they could have $5,000 in their Paddy Power account. It's finders keepers, and they've got 7 minutes to withdraw or have a small bet with some of that $5,000 that they get to keep it. If they don't get it done within the time frame, it's gone for good. So make sure you're logging into your Paddy Power account.
Come on, folks, we need a winner for day 1 of Grand National Meeting. If that's your name and if that's where you live, log in to your Paddy Power account. Paul Kealy, you've listened to those two experts either side of me. We have 1 vote for Croke Park, we've 1 tentative vote for Django Boy. Where does Paul Kealy stand?
Yeah, well, I can see the cases for both. Obviously, Django Boy, he must have had a hard race, mustn't he? Because he traded 300 in running, didn't he? At Cheltenham, so I certainly wouldn't be lumping on him. I would be all over Croke Park if it wasn't for the fact that Gordon Elliott has won from 32 in the last fortnight and 25 straight losers.
1 from 30?
Yeah, 1 from
So
32.
he went, didn't he have 8 winners in 5 days after
yeah.
Cheltenham?
But his horses actually ran well at Cheltenham, but
Yeah.
they're probably running less well now than they were then.
They will have been on the argument against that. There probably will have been a lot of the sort of.
Oh, absolutely.
Horses,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do understand that, but it just worries me a little bit. But I'd certainly much prefer him over Imperial Pass at the passes, especially with him. Look at the way Imperial Pass jumped at Leopardstown, and he was 5 lengths behind him. Mullins is 8 from 12 in the last fortnight. That's the difference. You know what I mean? So you've got to take that on board. But by the same token, I just think this race, I think Gidley Park's a massive horse. I worry about him on good ground anyway, proper good ground. And for all the water they've been putting on, it's been windy every single day, hasn't it? Like, you know what I mean? What they're putting on is getting blown straight back off. So I'd imagine it's going to be proper good ground on the mile-made course. That would worry me with him. And like Martin said, the fences are a little bit stiffer.
Gidley Park.
Yeah,
it's quick though.
Yes, I know, but you low and quick at Aintree is dangerous.
Yeah, is it?
They're a good deal.
Could I change my selection there, guys? Yeah.
So don't worry, mate.
Remember Caldwell Potter, stick with your guns.
I thought, listen, the one thing about not having a turners at Cheltenham, it's been a massive boost for this race, isn't it? This is the biggest field they've ever had for this race, and you can actually have an each-way bet. So I've had an each-way bet on Rubo, who. Yes, he doesn't have the chase form with these at the moment, but he's already matched his hurdles form running on ground that doesn't really suit him over fences. And now he's going to get proper good ground because it was nearer soft at Kempton than good to soft, wasn't it? And he showed how well he stayed there. Now he's not entitled to win this race based on that bit of form, but I think he just might pull out a little bit more on good ground and hit the frame.
Well, you know what you need to know now? You need to know what the jockey thinks. Here's what Paddy Power's shiny new ambassador, Harry Cobden, thinks of Rubo.
Let's kick off with the manifesto. You ride in the 145. You're jocked up on Rubod, who 2.5 miles, quickish ground, flat track. Those are the things that probably he wants.
Yeah, the only negative is the fact that we're going left-handed, but that's not a must. He just edges ever so slightly to the right. But that's not an issue. I don't think that's an issue anyway. So he's a fresh horse going to Aintree. He's working well, schooling great, and it's a competitive race, but he should be going there with a big chance.
So there you go, that's Harry Cobden, rider of Rubo. Paul Kealy's fancy in the opener. Martin Dixon is with Crow Park. I'm sticking to my guns with Gidley Park. Johnny is reluctantly with Django Boy. Give us your tip and give us those name and locations again, Tom.
Samantha in Ballymun, Bernadette in Naas, Neil in Ballylanders, John in Limerick, Keith in Newmarket, Mary in Dublin, Darren in Swords, Brona in Belfast, Liz in Greysons, Edward in Finglas, and I'm with Johnny Dineen.
No.
With Django Boy.
Indeed, yes.
Okay,
correct.
There we go. The left-hand side are sticking together. It is Django Boy for Tom Nugent as well. That was your preview of what I think is the best novice chase of the season so far, the Manifesto Novices Chase. Moving on to the 220. It is the Boodles anniversary 4-year-old hurdle, and we have a massive plunge. Now 13-8, best price with Paddy Power. Put your hands together. Winner of the Fred Winter at Cheltenham. Mercia is 6-1. 13-2 Naturally Nimble. Live Conti is 8-1. 9-1 Wendrock and 11-1 Bar. Martin Dixon, you kind of gave us an indication of what you might be thinking here at the start. Put your hands together is now 13-8. Is that value?
Look, he has got to the point. I mean, I think he'll take a lot of beating because I think it's a very weak Grade 1. Obviously, Lou Lamber's defection has sort of rendered that, and East India Doc's not here, the Triumph winner's not here, so it looks as weak a Grade 1 as we'll see this week anyway, doesn't it? And I was impressed with him at Cheltenham. The way that he travelled, they went hard, he was never uncomfortable at any point with a gallop, which maybe a horse like Wendrock, for example, he couldn't sort of go, and I think he's probably more of a staying horse. So I think good ground Aintree. They'll probably go quick anyway with horses like Filibustering in the field and plenty of runners. So I think it'll set up perfectly for Put Your Hands Together, and I do think he's going to take a bit of beating. I'd give a bit of a mention. I know Lightning probably won't strike twice with this, with a hurdling debutant, but keep an eye on Coconut Grove for Harry Fry, who is a hurdling debutant. Now, he's a half-brother to a Jarly, who was a very good juvenile hurdler.
125 to 1.
Look, just keep an eye on how he runs and how he shapes. I'm not saying he's going to win, but he's a half-brother to a Jarly who was 4th in this race a few years ago. And when he won in France, he won a race in France about 6 months ago before he was picked up. And he had 2 horses in 3rd and 4th that day who've gone on to win over hurdles and run to about 120. And they were comfortably seen off by him that day. So he must be a decent horse to have done that first time out. Now, look, I'm not saying he's going to win, like I say, but just keep an eye on how
he's not going to need to run much more than 120 to get in the frame, are you? That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I looked at it as a weak race. As I say, he's got the pedigree. He's got a bit of form in France that has worked out well, and he's a massive price.
Well, there you go. I'd say most people watching the show, and probably Johnny Dineen, had never heard of Coconut Grove. I'd say before Martin Dixon put forward the case, 125
There
to 1.
are reasons.
There are reasons, yeah. I'd say that's 125 to 1 mightn't last. So there you go. That's Coconut Grove. Had you heard of him before that?
Yeah, because he was due to run in a race lately, wasn't he? Taken out.
Sorry, I apologise.
That's the only reason I didn't know about him, though, because I was looking at him. He was due to run in a race within the last 10 days, that horse. Some sort of a maiden hurdle somewhere, and they took him out because of the ground, I think.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I would have known about him.
Okay, I apologise. 5 seconds to go, Tom.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get a winner, DJ, but Paddy Power are going to leave €500 or pounds behind in each of those accounts as a, hard luck story. But we'll be loading up the timer and accounts again. We'll try and give away another few quid, 50 grand going out in a couple of minutes.
Load it up. We're going to be getting finders keepers going again in another few minutes. So keep watching. Keels, where do you stand in this juvenile hurdle?
Yeah, well, I agree with Martin. It's probably the weakest juvenile Grade 1 that's ever been run at Aintree, isn't it? I mean, when has the Triumph Hurdle been so badly represented? For a horse that was tailed off and a horse that was pulled up, the only 2 that were running in it. Very strange. So, yeah, it's not going to take a lot of winning. Put Your Hands Together deserves to be a short price favourite. I thought all along that Mercia should have been clear second favourite, and I backed her each way. I still think 7-1 is probably fair value.
She ran well in the Fred Winter.
She ran very well in the Fred Winter, and you've got to remember, she was giving £6 to Put Your Hands Together. She's now getting 7. She had beaten about 8.5, 8 3/4 lengths, something like that. She probably did a little bit too much too soon. I expect her to run well if that race hasn't left her mark. Willie Mullins has won 3 fillies in this race. Apples Jade, Zenta and Cargizi, who was second to Sergino last year. So not a bad record with fillies, is he? And, so I thought, each way, she's got a big turnaround in the weights. She might not be good enough. He's a big, imposing horse. She's tiny. But, I think she beat the rest. I just don't see any strength in form there. That live Conti of Dan Skelton's
massive drifter.
Could be anything. But, I mean, I'd fancy myself in a race against the horses he beat last time.
The horse the horse he beat.
You're not forward up.
he beat the Mullins horse that was well beat in the Triumph, didn't he, in France?
Yeah.
Live Conti.
Oh, he did, Lazrac, yeah.
Lazrac, yeah.
So you're with Mercy each way 6-1.
Mercy each way, yeah.
So Johnny, this market has gone mad because after declarations, Live Conti was just very close to favourite. Now Live Conti is out to 8-1. All those supporters come for Put Your Hands Together. This is the first, I suppose, big shorty of the week. Put Your Hands Together. Will you be getting stuck in?
Yeah, I'll be getting stuck in against it, I think.
Oh,
yeah. I just think that the Fred Winter, the record of the Fred Winter horses in this race is appalling. I can't remember the last one that even. No, somebody probably knows, but did a Fred Winter horse ever win this race?
Paul Kealy?
I couldn't tell you.
Winner, I'm talking about.
No, probably not.
Didn't Joseph have one a few years ago?
That was just beaten, I think.
Just beaten.
Yeah.
Just, but I mean, the only thing is, this is such a weak race. We've only got 2 horses from the Triumph coming into it.
Yeah, Sanctuary came here after winning the Fred Winter, a bit like Put Your Hands Together. It came to a dire renewal of this and couldn't win it.
You're going back a while there now, Sanctuary.
Yeah, that's a while back,
yeah.
But this is a bad race too, though, isn't it? Like, it is. And, like, as the boys are saying, there's nothing from the Triumph represented here. So maybe that stat about the Fred Winter, it doesn't really count for as much in a race. It looks very weak, as Martin said, a really weak Grade 1. But there is a few horses here, lurkers, like horses would have won races, like Philly Bustering, likes of A.V. Moore. Give It To Me OG, I thought was a horse was a big price in a race like this that could improve. And like at the end of the day, okay, he won easy in Cheltenham, but he must have had a hard race. Like I will always will take a chance with horses that look to have had an easy race by winning easy, but they don't. They usually give themselves hard races anyway. And he did win. He won really well now, to be fair, and he travelled, did everything right. But the price he is now, I'm going to take my chances that something will beat him at the
So you're just going to lay him?
I think I would. I think at under 2-1 he's a bad price anyway, and it looks like he's going to be under 2-1.
So you're going to lay him for the purpose of the show and selection. What would your selection be?
I'm going to pick a Philly Bustering. Just the fact that I was given A.V. Moore a chance, and the fact that the stable jockey has picked Philly Bustering over A.V. Moore. It won a very ordinary race in Kelso. But it's one of the world's worst flat horses. It's a staying horse in the flat. Look, I just think it may well be better. It may be no good either. Do you know what I mean? But it's a 14-1 chance. I think it might be a lurker there that has some sort of a chance. I do think there's outsiders here that have little bits and pieces of chances. And look, it is a bad race. So that is the only thing. If you're opposing the favourite, you can see him. I wouldn't go for like all in laying it now, but I am going to take a chance at under 2-1 and lay it for something anyway.
Okay, there you go. We're going to start another countdown timer.
That's right, DJ. Yeah, 15 minutes on the clock, 50 grand out across 10 Paddy Power accounts. Log into your Paddy Power account, and if there's 5 grand in there, all you have to do is have a small bet or withdraw it, and you get to keep it. It's finders keepers with Paddy Power.
What would your selection be here after hearing all these geniuses?
I think the lads are telling you, and all you need to know. It's kind of everyone's a bit uneasy about the market. I thought Gibbs Island, maybe if he settled with a hood on, could just run into a place.
Producer Dan Walsh would be very happy with that. One of the owners.
Okay, very good. If he settles, obviously he pull like a train. But
will he settle? He'll settle. Yeah, got a thumbs up. He'll settle.
Confidence.
He will settle.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so
all in then.
25-1 Gibbs Island. Tom gives a shout out to Johnny. Your selection, Philly Bustering, is 11-1. The two boys here are with Put Your Hands Together, although Keels gives a shout out to Mercy. I thought the Forgotten Horse was Naturally Nimble. I don't think there's as much between Naturally Nimble and Put Your Hands Together as the market suggests. And he has been kept fresh for this. So Naturally Nimble for me at 13-2 might have a little bit of a say in that Juvenile Hurdle. Moving on to the 255, and it is the Bowl. And Grey Dawning is your 9-4 favourite with Paddy Power. Spillans Tower is 11-4. Ahoy Senior is 6-1. 15-2 Gaelic Warrior. 9-1 Stage Star. Embassy Gardens, the choice of Paul Townend. Can't believe it, but Paul Townend is on Embassy Gardens instead of Gaelic Warrior. He's 11-1. Jello, who was so disappointing in the Ryanair, is 20-1. And the Real Whacker, 5th in the Gold Cup, is 25-1. Right, Keels, kick us off. Ahoy Senior, is he going to do it at his beloved Aintree?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it is a horse in your day, isn't it? I mean, it's 4 years on the spin he's run. This is first, second. And looking at this race, would any of this field have got within half a length of Jerry Colomb last year? I don't think so. You know, I'm not sure. You know, Grey Dawning is 2-1 favourite. He's a horse still with promise, and I do like him. But you know, on official figures, he's 5th best horse in the race, isn't he? Like, you know, he's 2-1. I think he's a soft ground horse as well. He's been taken out because of good ground. Obviously, he didn't run well in the King George. He did make a mistake early. I worry about Spillane Tower at the same time as well, for the same reason. I think he wants soft ground. I also think he's only got one run to his name that entitles him to consideration, and that's a John Durkan run when everyone was running first time out anyway. And you know, his best RPR is 166. The last 4 times Ahoy Senor has run at Aintree over fences, he's run better than 166. And he's 6-1, 13-2. He just runs his race now. Obviously, he's had a shock of a season, as he normally does, and other than when he ran in the Old Roan and was a massive eye catcher and caught the eye of the stewards as well, and finishing 3rd. But he's had a wind up. He went with loads of enthusiasm at Cheltenham in the Gold Cup until he did what he often does.
So that was my question too here, right? Imagine being in the mind of a high senior. So it's like, lovely, ping, ping, ping.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what does go through his head? He comes to that ditch every time.
Well, Bert, generally.
Yes, Bert is going through his head. Yeah, absolutely. But how can a horse who is such a naturally good jumper...
He can be so extravagant.
So stupid. I'd say he's just not a clever horse.
Thick, isn't he?
Yeah, he's thick. Yeah.
You know, but he's lovely, and he loves this place.
So
a length and a half by Shiskin the year before. Half length by Jerry Colomb last year. If he matches that form, whatever beats him will win.
I think you're right, Keels. I think this is going to be a high senior day. We'll come to Johnny Dineen in a second. We've got some locations.
We do indeed.
Oh!
And winners.
We have a winner.
And winners.
Come on, David.
David in Ballymahan is a winner. So Joseph in Rathfarnham, Libby in Edinburgh, Trevor in Sunderland, John in Dublin, Lucy in Sheffield, Charlotte in Drogheda, Lynette in Dumfries, Joseph in Ovens, and Steve in Broadsun. There's $5,000 in your Paddy Power account. Make sure you're logging in and checking if it's there. If it is there, have a small bet or withdraw some of it and you get to keep it. But meanwhile, David in Ballymahan has bagged $5,000 to start entry off of the flyer. Ballymahan in County?
Longford, I'd say.
Correct, DJ. Well done.
Yeah.
Gold star for David Jennings.
Well done, David in Ballymahan in County Longford. You've won yourself $5,000. So if you are that name and you live in that location, you could have $5,000 as well. Log into your Paddy Power account. So Johnny Dineen, we've heard the case for a high senior. Loves the track. He's got the RPRs. This is his day. This is his race. This is his location. He's got a massive chance at high senior, doesn't he?
I couldn't have in my mind anyway, high senior.
So just to let viewers know, we're having a little chat before the show, right? And Johnny went on a massive rant for about 5 minutes saying how a high senior has absolutely no chance in this earthly world.
Look, I wouldn't come out.
So don't go back on it now.
It's not a meeting you can say horses have no chance. I don't fancy him at all. I think the two horses.
Why?
I just think he's the first horse I draw a line through in any race, a high senior. He is just a creature, in my opinion. Look, even at his best.
That's your clip. That's your highlight clip there, done and dusted.
Even at his best, he's like, okay, he's been here 4 years, but he's a year older every time he comes here at the same time. He can't be getting any better anyway. What price is he in the Gold Cup? 28-1. Okay, he was lobbing along. He was doing okay. In
the Gold Cup is not Aintree though.
Yeah, I know, but like the prices that he goes off in races now is an indication of like what people think of him, in my opinion. He's 5 or 6-1. It's a very sharp price anyway. Now,
He's 6-1.
Yeah. I look at this race anyway, I just see 2 clear horses here. Now, admittedly...
Hold your horses. We have another winner.
Another winner. Sorry, Johnny. Joseph in Rathfarnham.
That's in Dublin.
And Dublin, yeah, well done. Well done.
2 gold stars for Johnny.
Yeah. Well, it takes a lot for a Cork man to know anything outside Cork. So, Joseph in Rathfarnham, David in Ballymahan have bagged $5,000. Libby in Edinburgh, Trevor in Sunderland, John in Dublin, Lucy in Sheffield, Charlotte in Drogheda, Lynette in Dumfries, Joseph in Ovens, and Steve in Broadsun. There's just over 8 minutes to bag $5,000. Make sure you're logging into your Paddy Power account. Back to Johnny.
And I would say,
Tom, don't ask me where Drogheda is, by the way.
Drogheda. Drogheda.
Oh
no!
He said it was a highlight.
He's done it again. He's done it again.
Drogheda.
Yeah. I'm going to call it Drogheda.
When they get a race course.
In fairness to Martin, it probably should be how it's pronounced. It should be Drogheda. But it's not. It's Drogheda.
My God.
If it was in England, it'd be Drogheda.
Yes. Proper pronunciation. So
Drogheda.
I wouldn't say.
Yeah, your Twitter replies are going to be rough now.
David and Joseph, I don't think will probably be back in the creature a high tenure after what you're saying anyway?
Look, I don't know. I mean, I think the two standout horses here are Grey Dawning and Spillane Tower. I think they're two class horses in a race. If they weren't running in there, I wouldn't dream of having a bin. I just think the rest of them are much of a muchness. The ground is probably not going to be soft enough for either to be really at their peak, but I presume they're going to have to be put a fair share of water to load them. The fact that Spillane Tower is running here anyway, it must be some way reasonable anyway, and Grey Dawning must be the same. I think those two horses are miles ahead of the field here. I was going to have a good bet on Grey Dawning and save on Spillane Tower.
Okay, so you think the market has got it spot on. Grey Dawning 9-4, Paddy Power, and Spillane Tower is 11-4. So we've one very good case for a high tenure that I agree with. We have one case against a high tenure, and Johnny thinks the market has got it right. Grey Dawning 9-4 and Spillane Tower 11-4. Where do you stand, Martin?
I suppose the first question I'd ask is how good is Grey Dawning and how strong is his form? Because you look at it and he beat Ginny's Destiny at Cheltenham last year. He's been rolled over by Royal Pagaille, who admittedly is a good operator at Haydock on very soft ground, but that's the only time he's run a race all season when he beat Grey Dawning. He's then pulled up and then he's beaten a much inferior horse in Iroka, who you might fancy for the National, but he's a 150-something horse. So actually, is his form really that good? So naturally, I'd be against him because I'm not sure it is. I think he's still got to go and prove it at this level. I think Spillane Tower's got the best form, personally. I think the beating of Monty's Star was a good performance last year. He's generally just got a really progressive profile right the way through the last 18 months. OK, the John Durkan was first time out for horses, but it showed that he can mix it with that level of opposition still. You know, Factor Foul wouldn't have been way short. I know he's done a lot of improving since, but it's not like he went there unfit and, you know, he got near them. So I think that's still the best performance myself. And I wasn't that disappointed with him at Kempton because I thought he ran really well, considering that unusually for him he made a few mistakes. He was going to finish quite a bit closer to them, but he routed the final fence, and that allowed the Real Whacker to sort of rally past it. I think he was about 7 or 8 lengths clear of the Real Whacker at the last fence until he made another mistake. So that just held him back, but I'm not worried about his jumping generally. He just had a day where, for whatever reason, he didn't quite put it all together. But I thought, given the mistakes he made, he still ran a big race at Kempton, so I'd be pretty keen on him.
What's the story with Gaelic Warrior? Can you shed any light on the fact that Paul Townend is riding Embassy Gardens instead of Gaelic Warrior?
But look, he doesn't get these decisions wrong most of the time, and the fact that he's picked Embassy
Well, he's got this one wrong, surely, has he?
I would doubt it. I'd say, look, none of them will win anyway, you know what I mean? But whether the horse he rides will finish closer to the winner than the other one, I don't know. But I'd say neither of them will win.
It put me off both, I must admit.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the first thing I thought, was it put me off both.
Like
I think Embassy's got a bit of a chance. I mean, I think he's a better horse fresh. You know, he beat Monty's Star as well, didn't he? He kicked him out of the way.
Yeah, and he's a big horse. The fact that he was able to win, I suppose, around Tremor is
a
testament to him, maybe. So Gaelic Warrior, we're just forgetting about.
Couldn't have him.
Is he gone at the game?
I'd say so, yeah. I would expect so.
Okay, you were giving him a squeak, weren't you?
Well, I'm just in terms of ability, but it's a long while since he's shown it now, isn't it? Like, you know, he's got that standout performance in the Arkle. He's looked too slow for 2 miles, hasn't he? All of a sudden, especially when the ground's not really deep. But obviously it's not deep here, but he's going 3 miles. I don't think he's got an issue with good ground over a trip. But I mean, he just hasn't shown up so far, has he?
No.
He's not been right. I mean, the rumours are that he was showing a little bit more lately, but then the jockey goes and does that, so not enough.
No. Gaelic Warrior, if you do fancy him, he's 15-2 with Paddy Power. Tom, one last bash for these names and occasions on your fancy, please.
4 minutes to go. Libby in Edinburgh, Trevor in Sunderland, John in Dublin, Lucy in Sheffield, Charlotte in Drogheda. If we could get the carrier pigeons out to Drogheda immediately to let Charlotte know. Lynette in Dumfries, Joseph in Ovens, and Steve in Broadstone. There's just 4 minutes to log into your Paddy Power account. There's $5,000 in there. My selection, Spillane Tower, I think. The only question, would you be slightly worried if the ground, is there a chance that the ground is going to be rock hard?
It doesn't worry me at all, to be honest. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I don't think it's not going to be like a road. They put plenty of walls.
That's what I was going to say, Keels. Officially, what's the golden stick and what's the ground?
Well, I'm gonna look.
Jackson Tony.
The thing I would
give Tony a shout there.
The thing I would say about it in the positive is, and this is how I generally look at it, really, to be honest, is that he's not a slow horse. He's not an out-and-out stayer. He's got very, very good 2.5 mile form, and I think on this ground that speed that he's got to be effective over shorter trips will be a positive.
Are you worried? You fancy Grey Dawning? Are you worried what Martin said? His actual form is not working out.
Yeah, look, there is an argument for that, but I just think that Grey Dawning's jumping is absolutely insane, and you'll see that's the one thing is hugely important in the mile makers. If you can get a horse to ping fence after fence after fence, they can take any amount of ground out of horses. And another thing against the high senior, he ain't going to get it soft up front in a race like this. There's plenty going to be pace in the race. The likes of Embassy Gardens, the Reed Whacker. There's another one. Stage Star is going to be up there as well.
You've got to hope Harry Skelton keeps to the left-hand side of the hoist and you.
All right, yeah. Look, that's another reason I don't fancy high senior. But I just think Grey Dawning. I agree. Once you can definitely pick holes in his form. Like beating Ginny's Destiny isn't worth much really. But I have a feeling that he hasn't a lot done as an open chaser, you know what I mean? So out in open company, and he on a going day. I know he beat Hiroko and who wouldn't have a prayer in a race like this, but it was just a bit of a swagger. When he's on a going day, like up to the point where he stopped on the running in the Betfair Chase, yeah. He looked by far the best horse in the race, didn't he? You know what I mean? So, and I wouldn't mind a horse getting like worried out of it in a slog and by a seasoned horse like Roy Piguet. But look, he has a bit to find in form, no question. But I do think him and Spallan's Tower are clear best horses in this race. And the one thing about the ground, like from what I see of McManus's horses anyway, they always err on the side of caution. They will not run a horse like Spallan's Tower if the ground isn't at least good, safe anyway. Do you know what I mean? I see them pulling horses out countless times in Ireland, and when the ground gets quickens up. So if it's good enough, if it's okay for him to run, it'll be okay for Grey Dawning. Okay, so it's Grey Dawning for Johnny Dineen. Myself and Keels are sticking to our guns with a high senior. Martin is with Spallan's Tower, as is Tom Nugent. Give us one last bash. A minute and 20 seconds ago, Tom.
Yeah, Libby in Edinburgh, Trevor in Sunderland, John in Dublin, Lucy in Sheffield, Charlotte in Drogheda, Lynette in Dumfries, Joseph in Ovens, and Steve in Broadstone. Log into your Paddy Power account. You just got over 60 seconds to find the Finders Keepers cash.
We've 2 winners already. Can we make it 3? That was the bowl. Now it's time for the Aintree Hurdle. And before we get the views of our panel, I went out onto the streets of Liverpool to see what the people of Liverpool fancy in the Aintree Hurdle.
So we're here on the streets of Liverpool. It's Merseyside Derby Day, and we're here to ask the big burning question: Lossiemouth or Constitution Hill? Quick question: Lossiemouth or Constitution Hill?
Absolutely Constitution Hill. This time last year he would have been 1 to 10 on. He'd win by half the track.
Sorry? Lossiemouth or Constitution Hill?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Lossiemouth.
Why?
Mullins horse. Bit of a question mark about Constitution Hill this year.
Lossiemouth or Constitution Hill?
I don't know.
So it's a horse race, a big horse race tomorrow at Aintree.
Okay.
Lossiemouth.
Lossiemouth?
Yes.
You're sticking with the Irish?
Yes.
Constitution Hill or Lossiemouth?
I don't know.
Do you know what sport it is?
Horse racing.
Yes!
I do know that.
You're a Lossiemouth fan.
Yeah.
Why?
Just I think Constitution had its day now.
Okay.
I think Lossiemouth's going to do it.
He's going to ask you a quick question for the race and post. Constitution Hill or Lossiemouth tomorrow?
Yes, okay, we are from Slovakia and we are going to do football and Liverpool and Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. Okay, so if you have to pick one, Constitution Hill or Lossiemouth, which one?
2.
Lossiemouth. Good
Yes.
stuff. Best of luck.
Right.
Constitution Hill versus Lossiemouth. Who are you with?
Right, okay. Constitution Hill then.
Good choice.
Say that again.
Lossiemouth or Constitution Hill?
Lossiemouth.
Constitution Hill.
Why?
It's just superior.
Superior, yeah.
Just that jump, I think it needed it. I think instead of, he almost needs to go over a fence, and I think just that fall would have given him a bit more respect for his hurdles.
So the fall was actually a good thing?
I believe so.
What makes the fish and chips so good here?
It's got.
Go on.
I can't do this. It's lightly battered, very good fish, brought in fresh daily.
Beautiful. Lossiemouth or Constitution Hill?
Huh?
Constitution Hill or Lossiemouth? The big question. Who wins? Lossiemouth. What did the microphone do in you? Poor thing. Why Lossiemouth? Because you bat the horse. Constitution Hill or Lossiemouth?
Constitution Hill. Don't know.
What was the second one?
Constitution Hill or Lossiemouth?
I'll say Lassie, mate.
Yeah. Nicer name.
Yeah.
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 She's a mare as well, so it's a boy against a girl.
Right, okay.
So you'll be with the girl as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I apologise to the people in Liverpool for ruining your evening and interrogating you, and to that poor man who didn't know who Constitution Hill was. I gave him a little insight into Constitution Hill afterwards. Johnny Dineen, the Aintree Hurdle. It is now evens Constitution Hill with Paddy Power, 5-4 Lossiemouth. They are getting close together. You heard the people in Liverpool. They were kind of 50-50 Constitution Hill and Lossiemouth. Is there now a chance? 5-4 Lossiemouth, even money Constitution Hill. Could Lossiemouth actually start favourite, Johnny?
I know it won't be favoured, no, but look, it can beat it maybe, yeah, it can of course, but it won't be favoured. It
won't be favoured?
No, not a hope. I'd expect that money will come for, from my experiences anyway, the syndicates back the same horses a lot, and they back Constitution Hill every time he runs. And I'd expect him to come from there in the evening. And if he is bigger than evens on exchanges or even money, I'd expect him to shorten again. I'd expect the disparity to be bigger come race time than evens and 5-4. Like evens, if you fancy Constitution Hill, I'd be taking that. I'd say it'll go off odds on, yeah.
What do you fancy? Have you a strong opinion?
I don't actually, no.
Oh,
I don't.
God.
I don't. It's look, I can see the case for both. I actually thought the third favourite was a bad price, around 8-1.
I
didn't really fancy that at this level now, to be honest. And the other three are only making up the numbers. Look, one is coming in the back of a fall. The other one won in Cheltenham. I don't buy into the fact that Constitution Hill not been effective at 2.5 miles. Philip said he was unimpressive when he won this race 2 years or 3 or whatever that years ago there was. Look, he was only nudging him out, really, going to the line in that race, just to making sure. I thought he won it well. And at the end of probably a long season, he'd been into the Champion Hurdle. He wasn't going to be knocking spots off him to drive him 20 clear, was he? Like, really? Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be worried about the trip of a fancy. I have no huge opinion. I'd slightly favour Lossiemouth, but I certainly wouldn't be ramming it down anyone's throat at the same time.
And with Lossiemouth, did you see enough at Cheltenham to think that, well, put it this way, right? The way the Champion Hurdle panned out, would she have won the Champion Hurdle?
Well, she'd have been surely in and around where Stateman was going to be. You know what I mean? But it would have been a completely different race. But maybe Constitution, it wouldn't have fallen at all if Lossiemouth's in the race. Who knows? Do you know, those things, it's a bit like sliding doors, that film, isn't it? Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, no. Would Stateman have fallen if it was being challenged by Lossiemouth? Do you know what I mean? Probably not.
All right, I take it back. I won't even ask the question.
Absolutely right.
Do you know what I mean? So, look, it's hard to say. Look, on what she did in the Mayor's Hurdle, you'd have said she had to have played a big hand in the Champion Hurdle. That's saying for certain she win. At the end of the day, Paul Townend picked Stateman over Lossiemouth, and if he was right, he'd have won the Champion Hurdle. Do you know what I mean? He'd have beaten her. So who knows? Look, I don't know. I think it's a race I won't have a bet in. I don't think.
Can you still enjoy it?
I could enjoy this race now. I could enjoy this race. Yeah, I could. I'm intrigued as to what's going to happen. Actually, what's going to happen, but I'm not going to take my cash out.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's a race to savour. Keels, do you have a strong opinion one way or the other?
No, I'm not sure. That's why it's 2.1, 2.5, to be honest, isn't it? Is it possible to have a strong opinion? They've both fallen within their last couple of starts. Lossiemouth, we still don't know how good she actually is. She doesn't have massive figures, does she, really? Compared to...
Is she still only rated 160?
Yeah, and you know, I think there's a bit of licence in giving her 160 myself, like on what she's actually done. I'm not saying she wouldn't be up to it. I think she probably is, but we haven't seen her do it yet. The one time she's been beaten was by Constitution Hill at Kempton when Burdett Road was very close, and she didn't seem to be travelling at any stage really, and certainly for the first mile. So we don't know. I think the 2 mile 4 furlong gives her a better shot of beating Constitution Hill than 2 miles for sure. I do think he fell in a little bit here 2 years ago. He was always going to win, obviously, but you know, I mean, I think they made the decision there and then. There was no point in going chasing because he's never going to get 3 mile. So there's definitely doubts about him stamina-wise. He's still the best horse, isn't he? But I'd give her a chance. But as Johnny said, I'm not going to have a bet in the race.
Okay, so we've no strong opinion so far. Come on, Martin Dixon. Come on, please, just say one way or the other. This is a certainty.
I do think Constitution Hill will beat Lossiemouth again if he puts it all together and he stands up. You know, that's the biggest doubt. But
could you back Constitution Hill evens now?
Definitely, yeah. And I think I will do, to be honest, if that holds up. Because to me, he beat Lossiemouth at Kempton despite not being ready. You know, he'd been off the track a year. He had a beater all ends up at every point of the race. I don't really think she was closing on him late, to be honest. Watched it back a few times. Yes, she got into her stride and got closer at the last, but actually late on he was blowing up a little bit. She's hardly like thundering at him, sort of closing down fast at the line. And remember, she had a run behind her. She'd won about 3 weeks before, and he'd had a preparation going into the fight in fifth where he was meant to run, couldn't run there. So he'd hardly had an ideal prep going into the Christmas hurdle, and he still just looked a miles better horse than Lossiemouth. And to be honest, I think he is. You know, I do think he is. And like I say, the one time that he's met her, there wasn't a stage of that race where I watched it and thought she's going to beat him. Now, I accept it's 2.5 miles, but I think there's actually a bit of a hangover from, because I remember watching it live 2 years ago when he won and kind of feeling a little bit the same. Oh, that wasn't that impressive. But I think at the time that was actually viewed through the prism of, at the time they were talking about, could he be a Gold Cup horse? Could he do anything? Can he do everything, this horse?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, when you watch it back now in the cold light of day, he actually won the race on the bridle. You know, if you were watching that as a maiden hurdle, you'd say absolutely hosed up. Never came off the bridle. And, you know, Nico's just gone nudge, nudge, nudge. And, OK, that was the point that people were disappointed with, because he didn't go bang when he nudged him out. And, you know, yes, he's not a 3-miler. We kind of know that now. He's too fast. But I wouldn't worry remotely about 2.5 miles. I think he'll win if he stands up.
OK, perfect. There we go. We've got a strong opinion in the end. It is Constitution Hill for Martin. You siding on either?
No, I'm with Martin. I think the market's been sucked in by Lossiemouth being impressive in a mare's hurdle. Who was second?
Jay DeGrugy.
It took you a minute though.
Remember?
Yeah. Who's 150?
Take no chances was third.
Yeah, do you know, I don't know. I just think the market's been lured in by, oh yeah, she's back. I think she was like on her ear in Kempton, and they went like the clappers down the back at the Dublin Racing Festival, and I think she made a mistake because she couldn't go. So I think Constitution Hill should.
Constitution Hill is a good price at the same time.
Yeah. I think he's a great price.
I didn't expect to be in a position where you could entertain backing him. To even money.
11 to 10, like it's great price. Like if you do fancy him, I expect him to get chartered though.
Okay, and in fairness, like we give out about Willie Mullins going into Cheltenham for not running Lossiemouth in the Champion Hurdle. Fair play to Willie for actually running Lossiemouth in this race, because we have got the proper rematch now between Constitution Hill and Lossiemouth. So in a word or two, depending on your fancy, who wins?
Just favour Lossiemouth.
Constitution Hill.
I'm a Constitution Hill.
I'll go Lossiemouth.
Lossiemouth and
Constitution Hill.
Constitution Hill. And if you would like a free bet on the Aintree Hurdle, here's how to get one. So, those are where you can get your free bets. Those are where you can get that is where you can get your free bets, courtesy of the Racing Post. Let's rattle through the final 3 races on the card. And at 4:05, we have got the Fox Hunters. It's the first race of the week over the national fences. And don't forget, we'll be back with you every morning at 8:30 and on Grand National Day, where we have got 2 Grand National winning jockeys with you. Yes, we've got Darryl Jacob and Davy Russell on Saturday morning, so stay tuned for that. Will It Go Ahead is favoured at 7-2 for the Hunter's Chase. Lifetime Ambition being really well backed into 9-2. My Drogo, remember him? He was some horse back in the day. He's 6-1 for Will Biddick. Famous Claremont 7-1. Milan 4 10-1. 12-1 Bar. Not your kind of race, Johnny.
Look, there's too many runners in it to have a serious bet. I think fellas will say that there's a lot of dead wood in it. My motto always was, if they're not running, they can't beat you. They can't get in the way either. You know what I mean? So, like, I'd rather have 15, and if the other 15 duds at home, than play with a 30-horse race. So, look, 4-1 defeat. It doesn't have to be great prices, like in regards to like Will It Go Ahead. It's really good chance. Lifetime Ambition, probably good chance. I've seen my Drogo running a race in Haydock. I don't fancy that at all. Anyway, my Drogo.
He was some horse, wasn't he?
He was a good horse one time, yeah. He was a good horse. I'm threatening to be a good horse anyway. Yeah. Look, it's probably an open race. A horse I give a chance to is another Irish horse here, Milan Fort. It doesn't have the form to win this, but it's only a 6-year-old and it's improving. I like
stable in form, Adrian Murray.
Yeah, Adrian Murray, their proper outfit is right. Look, it's a horse on the improve. I like horses 6 and 7 year olds in these kind of races that are going up the ladder rather than the Oaks that are coming down anyway. So that's my Drogo doesn't appeal to me because he's a 10-year-old that was a racehorse at one stage and is now into hunters chases. And the horse that won it 2 years ago doesn't seem to be in the same kind of form.
I like him. Famous
He
Claremont.
liked the ground all right, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was good in his point-to-point.
Just wondering, is he as good as he was 2 years? He probably has a chance. Yeah, he's another one that probably is in the mix. Look, I probably won't have a bet in it, but I think Milan Fort will run well.
Okay, Milan Fort for Johnny. I'm with Famous Claremont. I think this is track, and I thought he was good in his point-to-point a couple of days ago. Martin?
Not really a strong view, but I think Lifetime Ambition will run well. He's pretty solid. He's probably wasn't fit when Will It Go Ahead beat him in his point-to-point earlier on in the season, and he was going well in the National, wasn't he, when he came out of the race a couple of years ago.
That's right. So Lifetime Ambition for Martin and Gales.
Yeah, I backed him for the. I backed Lifetime Ambition for that National. He was also been 4th in a Sefton, and I think he was decent ground, and probably got a little bit of class for this sort of race.
Your Lifetime Ambition as well. 2 votes for Lifetime Ambition. I'm with Famous Claremont, and Johnny is with Milan Fort. That is your Fox Hunters. It is at 4:05. Moving on to the penultimate race on the card. It is a Red Rum Handicap Chase, and this is wide open. My mate Mozzie, my mate Mozzie, is today your day? Well, he's currently 5-1. The Folks Tiara has been the big mover this morning. 11-2 from 15-2. The Folks Tiara for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore. Primaz, who Paul Kealy fancied in the Grand Annual, but he missed the break, is 11-2. Petit Tonnerre is 13-2. Sans Bruy is 7-1, and Rathgall Hill, the choice of price-wise in the Racing Post, is 8-1. Calico is 10-1, and it is 18-1 bar. So you're very much in the Primos camp going to Cheltenham. Are you still in the Primos camp?
Well, I am, but it feels like, yeah, I did.
You just yawn on camera.
I did, yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, I can't help it. I'm an old man now. I can't control many of my bodily functions these days. I promise you. But no, yeah, I mean, the thing about Primos, it feels like it might be an opportunity missed, doesn't it? Because I was on a big prices at Cheltenham, and, you know, I was on before, you know, I got 28s, I think, in a place, and he was... you know, we go for about 7s in the end. You know, and obviously the full start completely ruined his chance because he was one of them that bolted, and then he was going to go off in the front 2, and he ended up in the last.
He ran poorly, though.
You know, he might have sulked. He might be one of those that wants to be prominent. Who knows? But he had no chance from there. You know, so hopefully Patrick Wadge on him this time. Obviously, he gave Matin a great ride from the front. In the Ultimate, he jumps on board this time, and they don't mess about with the start, and he gets away. Now, you know, Lucinda Russell did say after Kelso, this is one of the most talented horses we've dealt with, and he's rated 130. If she's right, then he's a handicap good thing, but he's still got to put it together, hasn't he? Like, you know what I mean? But he is rated 130, and she's dealt with horses considerably better than that. So, you know, I've still got...
You're going in again?
Yeah, I mean, I was almost sucked in by my mate Mozzie because this is a flat 2 miles. He's the best horse from the Grand Annual coming to it, and he may last, but his finishing effort is the same wherever he runs after.
And like,
isn't it? You know?
But he has been an unbelievable horse. Like, nearly win a Galway Hurdle, just beaten a November handicap on the flat.
Place of Royal Ascot as well.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? But it's just, you know, whatever it is, when push comes to shove, it just doesn't find any more.
He's probably not a terrible each way bet, is he, Mike?
I don't know. He's always a great each way bet. It's a bet, you know, a silly saying, obviously, but a bet to nothing. But you know, I mean, with him, you end up with nothing more than your money back. You know what I mean? Every time, and that's the problem. But, you know, so no, I couldn't fancy him. I thought Sam Bree was a terrible price on what he's done this year. I mean, everyone's remembering how well he won last year. He's been terrible. So, yes, he's on the same mark, but I couldn't have that at all.
Are you just reading the Hines notes here?
I'm reminding...
Oh, it's the car.
It's the car.
You're reading his notes.
I'm trying to remember the name of the horses. I think Calico might run well at a price, especially the faster the ground, the better. Now, on that, they still haven't had an updated going stick this morning. But it was 5.4 yesterday afternoon. The last time it was higher than that was in June 2023, when it was 5.6, 5.7, and it was good to firm in places then.
Stop reading my notes.
So good to. So I think good to soft in places is probably pushing it based on those readings, but we haven't got an updated reading for what they put on yesterday.
So your Primos 11-2 with Paddy Power. I like one at a big price in this.
Go on.
I think General Medrano has got a massive chance. I watched the Grand Annual again. He travelled as well as anything to the second last, and I think he's a flat track horse. I don't think Cheltenham suited him. Newbury's, Aintree's, I think is more his cup of tea.
Can I ask you the question you all often ask me when I said I fancy one? What price you back him at?
12s, and he's now 18s. He is drifting like a barge. He's nearly 30 on the exchanges. I thought 12s yesterday was a great price, and now he's drifting like mad. So yeah, I think General Medrano. Just watch back the Grand Annual. He's the one that kind of pokes your eye out down the back straight, travels into it, and it just didn't happen for him. But I think he's going to be a better horse at Aintree. I thought 18-1 was a big price.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I quite fancied him at Cheltenham, and I agreed. I don't think he necessarily took to the track, so I wouldn't be against him. But I like Calico each way at double figures. I think they've probably, since he won at Cheltenham in the autumn, I think they've probably had this in their minds to some extent. They laid off him a little bit for a couple of months, and then he's had 2 runs where he's been easy to back and not quite finished out his races. But this race is tailor-made for him. He's a strong travelling horse. The last time he was at Aintree, he was going to finish second to John Bon in the Grade 1 Novice, and he came down at the last, didn't he? So I think a flat 2 miles fast run race, that's what Calico wants. He's got loads of form off the sort of similar ratings in the past, and generally he's pretty consistent when he gets good ground over this trip. So 10-1 about him each way, I think, is a
10-1 Calico for Martin Dixon. Johnny.
Yeah, look, I like Petit Tonnerre. I think he's a good chance, that's all, in a tricky race. If he can avoid a jumping mishap or a mistake, so important to jump the fences here over the 2 miles as well. And
until he won the other day, he was less reliable than my mate Mozzie in the finish, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
and they took 4 of the fences out then, didn't they?
Yeah, he has won a race at the same time, you know. Like my mate Mozzie, to me, is coming closer to being out of the frame than actually winning the way he's running. If you know what I'm saying? Do you know the way you're saying he's bet nothing, and he looks like that every day he runs? I thought his finishing effort the last day was worse than any other day now, really. And I know it's probably up a hill and that, but I can see him. I can't see him winning anyway, my mate Mozzie, no matter what track it is. And I'd be surprised. I won't be surprised if he's unplaced this time. But anyway, look, I think Petit Tonnerre has course form here, and he has won a race. He's in off 130. I mean, I think he was 125 against Imperial Saint when Imperial Saint beat him back in October at this track, and he had this year's track. Like Imperial Saint is a mid 140s horse now at the same time, so like that wasn't a bad effort. Look, he has a lot of ordinary runs too, and I wouldn't even say he's an each way bet. I'd probably have something on him to win the race.
Okay, there we go. Petit Tonnerre for Johnny Dineen, now into 13-2, having opened up this morning with Paddy Power at 15-2. So 13-2 Petit Tonnerre for Johnny. I'm with General Medrano. It is Calico for Martin Dixon, and Keels is staying loyal to Primaz. And the final race is at 5:15. It is the Grade 2 Mayor's Bumper, and Shullin for Paddy Toomey and Billy Lee. Yes, Billy Lee is 9-4. Charisma Cat is 5-1. Jackie Hobbs 11-2. Blue Betty 11-1 and 12-1 bar. Johnny, will you be having a bet here?
I wasn't going to the start, but I'm leaning towards a horse called Capability, horse of Anthony Honeyballs. It has course form, which I think course form is important to this track.
12s from 25s.
Yeah, there's been money for it.
Is it yours?
No, it's not in the shield on it. It was. I saw it bigger than 25s in places there the other day, and now it's into the price it probably should be, you know. It did win here. It beat Shia Gal, is the same horse that the favourite beat in Cheltenham, and beat it well here. And then it went to Huntington. That mare's race, the ground was heavy. I'd say that was all against it. The fact that it hasn't run since would lend me to believe it's by authorised. I'd say probably wants better ground. They didn't bother running over. Like, that's a long time ago in Huntington, so they kept it for this race. Honeyball has a good record in bumpers. I think it has a good chance in a deeply, deeply competitive race, though.
That Shia Gale form has been franked. Obviously won a Grade 2 at Newbury. So it's Capability at 12-1 for Johnny. Martin?
I like Jackie Hobbs, but it wouldn't be a race I'd be dead strong on at all, to be honest. There's too many sort of unknown quantities in there. But we do know a little bit more about her. I quite like that she's got that extra bit of experience. She won a point-to-point. She's very easily won both of her starts in bumpers, and they've given her a couple of months as well, so she's had a little bit more time than a few of the others in the field and a bit more experience. I don't think her form is kind of a million miles behind the top ones, to be honest, and she's yeah, she's a fair price. I think she's around 7 to 1. Is she that sort of price?
Jackie Hobbs?
Yeah.
11 to 2.
Is she 11 to 2?
11 to 2.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. People are listening to you. And Keels, I'm a bit scared kind of when I come to you for bumpers. I hate bumpers.
Yeah, well, there's a fair chance I'll be on the train on the way back here.
Fair chance I'll be on the beer.
No, what struck me about it is there's quite a few horses that have had a fair few times, and none of them have come anywhere near close to what a level that normally win this. So I thought if something is going to improve to do so, it might be one of the ones that's won only once. And Ben Paulding won the race last year, and Betty's Daisy created a fairly good impression when she won. That would do for me, but it is a complete guess.
Okay, a complete guess, and he's landing on Betty's Daisy, 16 to 1. Blue Betty is the one I liked. Won a bumper at Newcastle. Just the way Keelan Woods rode her that day, rode her with loads of confidence, had to kind of come through a gap, came through it, won easily, and straight after the race, Fergal O'Brien said, we're going to the Aintree bumper with her. I thought that was interesting. So Blue Betty for me, 11 to 1, I thought was a decent enough price. That is your preview of day one of the Grand National Meeting at Aintree. All that's left to do now is reveal our charity bets, which went spectacularly well at Cheltenham. So we're coming in good form, folks. Paul Kealy, your charity bet for Thursday at Aintree.
A horse in your, on a horse in your day.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. Look,
he's after listening to you, and he's still
well be right. He could well be right.
Yeah. Would you advise just to donate the 50 quid to charity?
Look, I'd be surprised if he won, but I've been surprised before.
Yeah, I've been surprised before. Martin Dixon.
I think I said Spillane's Tower.
Well, you can do whatever you want.
Spillane's Tower, yeah.
Okay. Spillane's Tower.
Spillane's Tower.
Spillane's Tower.
Not another one.
So it is Spillane's Tower, 50 quid on the nose for Martin. A high senior for Keels in the same race. I'm with Gidley Park. Gidley Park is my charity bet in the open race. I think he's a cracking novice chaser. Your charity bet, Johnny?
I was going to go with Great Dawn, but there's no point three of us having the one horse in the one race, is there? Because, do you know what I mean? Is there? I'll pick something else. I'll go with Petit Tonnerre.
Petit Tonnerre. So graphics team, it's a hard one to spell as well, but if you can do it in the next couple of seconds, it is Petit Tonnerre for Johnny Dineen in the Red Rum Handicap Chase, second last race on the card. And if we go on. Yeah, we'll give you one. We'll give you a charity bet. How would you like?
No, we'll just go and buy some money and back Constitution Hill at the price, I think.
Okay, so yeah, there we go. Evans, Constitution Hill for Tom Nugent. So there you go. Those are today's charity bets. It's a high senior, Spillane's Tower, Gidley Park. Johnny is with Petit Tonnerre, and Tom Nugent, we've given him his charity bet, and he goes for Constitution Hill. There you go, folks. That's it for day one. Looking forward to the day, Johnny, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Look, as I said, it's going to be a gorgeous looking day by the looks of it. And Aintree, I think always the festival is the first day, is nearly always the best anyway.
Yeah, and Johnny, you're going racing.
Yeah, I'm going today, yeah.
He's going today, so if you're going to Aintree, bump into Johnny Dineen. You're both of you racing today,
yep.
Yeah? Everybody's going racing today. It's great to be at Aintree. Well, listen, very best of luck with your bets on day one of the Grand National Meeting at Aintree. Don't forget to join us tomorrow at 8:30 and, of course, Saturday at 8:30 as well for Good Morning Aintree. Until then, thanks to Paul Kealy, to Martin Dixon, to Johnny Dineen, to Tom Nugent, Paddy Power, who will be back tomorrow giving away another €100,000 in Finders Keepers courtesy of Paddy Power. I've been David Jennings. Thanks for watching. Good Morning Aintree.